How does a young mother vanish without a trace after a midnight walk home? And what happened to a 3-year-old girl whose tragic death left investigators confused? From unexplained disappearances to haunting cold cases, these are 10 of the darkest true crime cases still unsolved in 2024. But before we dive in, some of the details in this story are disturbing and may not be suitable for all audiences. So viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. Alright, let's dive into the video. Andrea Knabel, a 37-year-old mother of 2 from Louisville, Kentucky, had always been someone who helped others. But life wasn't easy for Andrea in the years before she went missing. She lost her job, which led to financial and emotional struggles, and she had to rely more on her family for support. On the night of August 12, 2019, things took a dark turn. Andrea had an argument with her sister, and later went to a medical center for a facial infection. When she returned to her mother's house, she found herself locked out. Not wanting to wake anyone, she walked to her sister Erin's house nearby. Andrea was upset and talked to Erin about everything that was going wrong. But Erin, who was frustrated with Andrea's choices, sent her back to their mother's house. Andrea was last seen around 1:38 a.m., walking back to her mother's house. Her phone was active until about 3 a.m., then it either died or was turned off. Despite the short walk between the two houses, Andrea disappeared without a trace. As the days passed with no word from her, her family's worry grew. What happened to Andrea? Some think she was met with foul play after leaving Erin's house. Others wonder if her work with a missing persons group made her a target. The fact that her family hasn't clearly explained whether she made it inside the house that night only adds to the mystery. Her family is still searching for answers, but until now, Andrea Knabel's disappearance remains a disturbing mystery. Christine Rosie Pierce was a 62-year-old woman from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Known for her drumming and involvement in local bands, she was well-loved and a pillar in her community. Christine had a consistent routine, so her sudden disappearance in October 2020 was alarming. On October 17, 2020, Christine was last seen heading to Tony's Bar, a place she often visited. Surveillance footage showed her entering the bar around 10:30 p.m., but after that, she vanished. When she didn't show up for work or band practice the next day, her friends knew something was wrong. They contacted her family, but no one had seen her. The investigation quickly shifted to a man named Charlie, who had been with Christine before she disappeared. Charlie had a shady reputation, and some suspected he might be involved. He even made strange comments about her after she went missing, raising more suspicions. Christine had recently received a $600 stimulus check, leading some to think she might have been targeted for her money. But despite thorough investigations, no solid evidence has explained what happened to her. Christine's sudden disappearance, breaking her usual routine, worried those who knew her. As of now, Christine Pierce's case remains unsolved, leaving her family and friends searching for answers.
Right now it is 8:34 and search efforts for a man missing for more than 20 years are picking up again. Police say Jason Knapp left his apartment at Clemson University and was never seen again.
Jason Knapp was a 20-year-old engineering student at Clemson University in South Carolina. Despite learning he was colorblind, which ended his dream of becoming a pilot, Jason remained dedicated to his studies and campus activities. On April 11, 1998, Jason packed up his apartment, ran some errands, and then drove to Table Rock State Park. 6 days later, his white Chevrolet Beretta was found parked in the park, doors locked. It seemed he had gone for a hike, but despite extensive searches, no trace of Jason was ever found. Theories range from an accidental fall during a hike to foul play. Serial killer Gary Hilton, who targeted hikers, was active in the area, but he denied involvement in Jason's case, and his whereabouts that day are unclear. Jason's fingerprints were found on the parking stub, proving he was at the park, but no other clues have emerged. Rachel Cook was a 19-year-old college student visiting her family in Georgetown, Texas, when she vanished on January 10, 2002. She was an avid runner and a member of her college's cross-country team. She had set out for her usual 4-mile run that morning. When her father came home later that day, he found her purse and cell phone, but no sign of Rachel. Hours passed with no word from her, and concern quickly turned into panic. Despite extensive searches in the area, Rachel had seemingly disappeared into thin air. Witnesses reported seeing Rachel during her run, with one couple spotting her just 200 yards from her home. Suspicion initially fell on a few people, including an ex-boyfriend, but no solid evidence ever linked anyone to her disappearance. In 2006, 4 years after she went missing, a man named Michael Keith Moore confessed to abducting and killing Rachel. He claimed he had knocked her out while she was jogging and gave details about disposing of her body. But just before taking a plea deal, Moore admitted he made the whole story up to get better treatment in prison. With Moore's confession proven false, Rachel's family was devastated. The case remains unsolved, with no new leads or suspects emerging in the years since. Rachel Cook's disappearance remains one of Texas's most haunting mysteries. Melissa Flores, a 26-year-old mother of 3 from Weatherford, Texas, disappeared on January 27, 2007. Her relationship with Ronnie Dean Denny Jr., her on-again, off-again boyfriend, was troubled. Ronnie had a history of risky behavior and had even threatened Melissa before. The night before she went missing, Melissa was out with her friend Shannon. She left Shannon's house early the next morning, saying she was going to pick up her kids, but she never arrived. Her car was later found at Ronnie's house with her purse and cell phone inside, but Melissa was gone. Ronnie Denny quickly became the main suspect. Several witnesses claimed that Ronnie had confessed to harming Melissa. One said he hurt her during an argument, and another claimed to have helped him dispose of her body at an abandoned farm. Despite these confessions, investigators have never found Melissa's remains. Shannon mentioned that 4 people saw Melissa leave her house that morning, and Melissa even called her sister-in-law from Ronnie's house. But the timeline of events is still unclear. In 2015, Ronnie Denny Jr. was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. However, since Melissa's body has never been found, the case technically remains unsolved, leaving her family without closure. Before we continue on, if you are enjoying the story so far, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments. Your support truly means everything. Alright, back to the video. Timothy McColl, also known as Timmy, was a 27-year-old Royal Navy sailor who disappeared on May 26, 2012, while his ship was docked in Dubai. Timmy, who was married with 2 children and another on the way, had been enjoying a day off with his fellow sailors. After a day of swimming and drinking, Timmy's shipmates put him in a taxi around 2 a.m. to return to HMS Westminster. The ride should have only taken about 15 minutes, but Timmy never made it back to the ship and was never seen again. The taxi driver claimed he stopped to ask for directions, and when he returned to the cab, Timmy was gone. Despite extensive searches by local authorities and his fellow sailors, using divers, dogs, and helicopters, no trace of Timmy was ever found. Theories about Timmy's fate vary. Some think he might have taken another taxi back into Dubai and ran into some trouble. Others suspect foul play, and even a possible cover-up by the Royal Navy, especially since there were delays in notifying his family and a lack of concrete evidence. In 2014, Timmy was declared dead, with drowning listed as the cause, though there was no solid evidence to support this. His family, however, believes something more sinister happened. They continue to search for answers, but as of 2024, Timmy McColl's disappearance remains a mystery. Mary Ellen Tanner was a 17-year-old girl from Kennebunk, Maine, with her whole life ahead of her. On July 7, 1978, she attended a parade with friends and later hitchhiked to a party at a nearby field. Mary was pregnant at the time and had planned to leave the party early to link up with her boyfriend for his brother's funeral the next day. but she never made it. After catching a ride, Mary was last seen standing on the Mousam River Bridge, trying to hitchhike the rest of the way home. Tragically, she never arrived. 2 days later, her body was found in a grassy field near an airstrip, about 10 miles from where she was last seen. She had been brutally beaten and her death was ruled a homicide. Despite a thorough investigation, no one was ever charged with her murder. Over the years, several suspects were considered, including Bruce Foley, a man known for his aggressive behavior toward women. Bruce Foley was 12 years older than Mary and was out on bail for a serious charge at the time of her murder. Despite his past, Bruce has always claimed he was innocent, and his alibi for that night has never been disproven. Mary's family, especially her sister Beth, believes they know who is responsible for her death, but they have never publicly named the suspect. Adding to the mystery is that Mary's murder wasn't the first in the area. 8 years earlier, 13-year-old Mary Olenchuk was found in a barn about 10 miles away. The similarities between the two cases have led some to wonder if the same person could be behind both murders. As of 2024, Mary Tanner's murder remains unsolved, leaving her family and the community of Kennebunk with lingering questions and fears. Sherry Ann Jarvis was only 14 years old when she ran away from a foster home in Stillwater, Minnesota, in March 1980. Known for being street smart and independent, Sherry's journey took her across several states before she disappeared in Texas later that year. The last confirmed sighting of Sherry was on Halloween 1980 in Huntsville, Texas. Witnesses saw her at a truck stop, and later near a now-closed prison farm, where she mentioned wanting to visit someone. Tragically, the next day, a truck driver found Sherry's lifeless body in a wooded area near Interstate 45. She had been brutally beaten. For more than 40 years, Sherry remained unidentified, known only as a Jane Doe. It wasn't until 2021 that advancements in DNA technology finally allowed investigators to identify her. Sherry's family, who had never stopped searching for answers, was heartbroken to learn of her tragic fate after so many years. While Sherry's identity is now known, her attacker is still out there. Investigators suspect her murder might be linked to a series of similar crimes along Interstate 45, known as the Texas Killing Fields murders. These cases involve the abduction and murder of young women and girls in the area, many of whom were hitchhiking or in vulnerable situations. Theories about Sherry's death are bone-chilling and very complex. Some believe she was targeted by a serial killer who preyed on hitchhikers, while others think her death might have been the result of a chance encounter with a dangerous person. Despite these theories, no clear suspects have been identified, and Sherry's family continues to search for justice. Andy Wagner, a 24-year-old from Evansville, Indiana, vanished on August 6, 2022. She had struggled with drug addiction and often stayed with friends in nearby cities, preferring their company over living at her grandparents' house. On the day she disappeared, Andy suddenly returned home, packed a bag, and left without saying where she was going. This wasn't unusual for her, as she often spent days away, but she always kept in touch with her family. When they didn't hear from her by August 12th, they reported her missing. The investigation quickly hit a dead end. Police questioned 11 people, including an ex-boyfriend, but no one had useful information. Andy's mother, Elaine, who had moved to Texas, came back to Evansville to search for her daughter, but found nothing. Elaine had her own theories. She thought someone might have harmed Andy because she planned to move to Texas. She also considered that Andy might have overdosed, and that the people that were with her covered it up. Another possibility was that Andy was forced into trafficking, but there's no evidence to support this. Tragically, Elaine passed away in December 2023, never knowing what happened to her daughter. As of June 2024, Andy Wagner is still missing, and her case remains unsolved, leaving her family with heartache and unanswered questions. Melissa Mason was just 3 years old when she was found unresponsive in her bed on February 19, 2018, in Perrin Township, Michigan. The circumstances surrounding her death are both tragic and mysterious, and the case remains unsolved. Melissa had been left with a babysitter while her mother, Amanda Mason, and Amanda's boyfriend, Maurice, went to work. The babysitter found Melissa unresponsive and called 911, but it was too late. The autopsy revealed injuries all over Melissa's body, injuries that neither Amanda nor Maurice could explain. What makes this case even more heartbreaking is the history of neglect Melissa had suffered. Neighbors reported that she was often mistreated, and there were multiple calls to Child Protective Services about her welfare. Despite these warnings, CPS allowed Melissa to stay in the home, even after Maurice had allegedly hurt her. The situation is even more tragic when considering that this was not the first time the family faced such a loss. In 2015, Amanda's brother and his wife were convicted of harming their 5-year-old daughter Mackenzie and abusing Mackenzie's younger sister. Both were sentenced to life in prison. The similarities between these cases make many wonder if Melissa's death could have been prevented. Despite the clear signs of neglect and the suspicious circumstances, no one has been charged in connection with Melissa's death. Authorities claim there isn't enough evidence to make an arrest, leaving many to question how such a crime could go unanswered. The autopsy, which took 2 years to complete, confirmed that Melissa had been beaten and strangled, yet those that were responsible still remained free. Melissa's grandparents have been tirelessly seeking justice, voicing their concerns about Maurice, who had a documented history with CPS. The fact that Maurice's parents, who often babysat Melissa, knew about the abuse and did nothing, adds another layer of anger and sadness to this case. Her case remains open, a grim reminder of the work still needed to protect vulnerable children. These 10 cases are just a few of the many unsolved mysteries that continue to baffle investigators, as well as continue to haunt the victims' families. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see another, then check out these videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like, comment, share the video, and subscribe to our channel. I will see you in the next one.